Alright guys, thanks for tuning in. My name is Josh and I run the GPU Abuse website and gaming channel. Today we are actually checking out one of my other hobbies. I'm sure you guys, if you're familiar with the channel, you know by now that I love flipping these Balisongs, which are just, that's a fancy term for a butterfly knife. I got my magnetic watch on, so that'll probably happen again in the video. Yeah, I mean, just your standard sexy alpha beast right here. This is probably the Balisong that I use most often. I bring it with me practically everywhere, and it's a blast to flip. It has custom Kuski barrels in them, which lighten up the handle weight a little bit to bring the balance a little bit more towards the pivot, just based on preference. So this isn't normally what the spacers look like. I don't know. Here is also an alpha beast just with an alt blade, which, I mean, I'm sure you can tell, but the difference is the blade tip. This is a Bowie style. This is an alt style. These are what the original spacers look like, and this is what the custom ones. So the balance is just a little different. The alt blade, in my opinion, feels a little heavier to begin with, just because you're working with a lot more blade, but that's neither here nor there. I just figured I'd give you a little bit of context to what I'm talking about. So you might be thinking to yourself, why the hell are you filming at this angle? Normally you have your face in the camera and you want everybody to see your beautiful face. Well, I woke up this morning and, like I said, I'm flipping these bad boys everywhere. So I was sitting on the old porcelain throne, and I was doing a little bit of flipping, and I noticed that excuse me, it's 7:30 in the morning, so I'm still waking up here. Got some coffee. I noticed that it had this slightest amount of tap, and I literally just posted a video on this maybe a couple days ago showing that it had no tap. So this is a relatively recent thing. Now, again, if you're not familiar with butterfly knives or Balisongs, usually at advertising purposes, a lot of people buy these to sell them, and if it has tap, that takes down the price quite a bit, even though the functionality is very similar. With a light amount of tap like that, the only person who's really going to notice as far as like the performance of flipping would be people who are seriously advanced, perhaps even on a professional level. It's very light, very light. And I was going to see if maybe I could diagnose the reasoning. Usually it's because the hardware might be getting a little dinged up. It might be a little gunked up even. Or it might even be, in my theory, the way that I reassembled it. Because I'm always taking these apart. I noticed that it only taps when I'm holding it in a very specific area. And you got to be careful, because you can easily misdiagnose tap with just the handles bouncing if you shake it like crazy. See, some of that is just the handles lifting off and clapping against the pin. If I hold it nice and straight though, I still get that distinct, just ever so slightly. There it is. There it is. That side not so bad. That side, just the slight amount of tap. And I want to see if I can't. It's about cleaning time anyways. I was flipping this outdoors and it's got all sorts of gunk in between the pivots and whatnot. But again, I mean, this is something I use every single day. So usually I notice when something's a little amiss. Is that even a word? Is that the proper term? So I got my Ifixit Toolkit in front of me here, and we're going to be checking it out. We're going to be taking it apart. Usually, in most Balisongs, it uses a T10 Torx, so it's pretty common. With knives, that is. T9, T10, that's pretty common. So to disassemble this, I'm just going to squeeze the handles pretty firmly, stick the T10 in the Torx screw, and give her a twist. if I don't squeeze the handles, a lot of times the pivot will just spin. Both sides will just spin. I don't know if I'd be able to demonstrate it right now, but yeah. So I'm spinning it right now, and this side is also spinning. Now if I squeeze the handles a little bit, that screw just comes right on out. With the Alpha Beasts that I have, I've never had to use Loctite. Normally on a Balisong you'll need Loctite, which is just a thread locking fluid that helps so the screws don't back out. Well, in this case, I've never needed it, so who knows? Maybe that's my issue. Probably not, though. Probably not. There's a pivot for you. Another pivot. And since I have both screws out, I can begin to remove the handles here. Okay. I got some washers. There's a washer on each side of the blade, so if I pull these out, you can see that they're lubed up, so they're sticking together a little bit, but 2 washers for each side of the blade. Drop everything in there. I love having this Ifixit Toolkit, which is technically made for, electronics, but it comes in handy. I can just drop all my bits in there and call it good. So I'll try to show you on this side. If I pull this out, you can see the 2 washers in there. Pretty cool. There's the empty handle, and then Alpha Beasts run on a bushing system, which basically means that this might just look like a blade to you, but watch. There's actually little washers in there. See? Get out. Get out of there. Go. Get. Oh, wow. Okay. It's gonna be feisty. See. Let's do that again. Just like that. And now it's just the blade. So I'll probably end up cleaning this with like towel and a little bit of Windex, maybe a little bit of oil. I don't recommend everyone do this, but you can use little Scotch pads. Now I use this for the handles mainly, unless there's a little bit of signs of rust on the blade. That's when I use a Scotch pad, if there's a little bit of rust. The handles, they can handle it. The handles won't scratch. The blade will scratch if you use a Scotch pad. I'm just going to throw that to the side for now. Here's what the handles look like without a blade in them. Pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff. So what I like to do is you'll need to switch your torque screws to, I believe, a T8 or a T9 for these tiny little bastard ones down here. Yeah, so this was a T8, but it's probably, if I was a betting man, I'd say a perfect fit is a T9. No, T9's too big. Just ever so slightly though. I bet it's supposed to be a T9. I probably just mixed up my bits or something stupid. So I'm gonna, with a little bit of pressure, kind of like how I was squeezing the handles before, I'm just doing the same thing except with these 2 sides. So I got this one with a little pressure going up and this side with a little pressure going down, because we're actually going to separate these 2 pieces. And usually what I do is I remove the latch first, but I didn't do that because I'm an idiot. So we're going to need even a smaller bit, probably this one here, which in my little kit is a T6, and that will remove the little latch screw, which just kind of hangs out in there. If you had a latch, which I removed my latch, it'd be held on by that. I just put it back in there so I don't lose it. Okay, now we should be able to just remove these puppies without too much of a problem. There's one. It's hotter than hell in here because I don't have the AC on. I don't want my audio quality to be complete garbage. And again, just a little bit of pressure, like this. That's the type of pressure that I'm giving. You don't want to obviously crank it and end up breaking a screw, but you know how it do. And there's one side of the handle, so I'm going to put like that. And just to show you how this looked inside there, that's with the spacer, the barrel spacers. And those are just chilling right on in there. You can lift those out and drop them. That's literally just made to reduce the weight of the handles. So I'm going to put those right there. Like so. And I'm going to do the same with this side. Only one side has a screw. This side's nice and flat, so. A little bit of pressure. Just so the screws back out. Without the pressure, they'll just spin and spin and spin and spin, and you'll never get them out. It's a pain in the ass when it comes to tightening them, but well worth it to learn how your knife is put together. So, again, handles normally attached like that. This pulls straight on out. And there's the barrels. Loop. Loop. And then blunk. These little pins, which you won't mistake these pins for the pivots because they're a lot smaller. And then we have all of our handles, which I will clean. I'll clean these with some window cleaner. And I'll scrub them up really nice. Get them all cleaned out because you can see all sorts of grime and gunk in there. And that I will use the pad for, but here's the invisible glass that I use to clean my handles now. Most people say Windex. I'm using invisible glass because it's like right here. But what I'm going to do first, take a swig of coffee, 2 swigs of coffee, 1 hit of the vape. Oh, I said 1 hit. I took 2. And I'm going to take this Scotch pad here, and I'm going to just lightly scrape the gunk off the edges. I guess if you got like a knife that you really don't want to be hurting, I would not recommend using a Scotch pad. Just use a soft cloth or something, because I don't want to be the one that accidentally scratches your blade. I haven't noticed any scratches, but then again, I use this thing every day, so that it already has a lot of scratches. So if you care about your knife, maybe, well, I mean, I care about this knife, so you know what I'm saying. If you're concerned about the cosmetics, you might not want to use a Scotch pad. I think we're all on the same page now. And I just try to get in between everything and sand it out, scratch it out, I don't know, scrape it out, because it is gunky, it is gross. I do this probably once a month or so, maybe a little bit often, or when I'm experiencing some issues. So we're just gonna get that all cleaned up. There's part number 1, looks a hell of a lot better already. Put that in the Windex station. Here's part number 2. Gonna do the same deal. Make a little sandwich and get it on in there. Get it on. 2 sides. Get those corners really nice. Stick that in there. Kind of give it a good old, just like that. Get everything that, if you see gunk, get it out. And of course the Scotch pads, they fall apart too and create little fibers, so that's why we do the whole Windexing in the first place. You're more welcome to, oil the handles if you wish. There's some oils out there that will protect against rust. Now, it is titanium, so, I mean, do what you will. Oil up some titanium. Never hurts, right? One of the hardest parts to get to is this little tiny bit here. That is so damn hard. Q-tip would be really cool, but I'm too lazy to get up, so I'm just gonna get in there like that. I try not to use things that are too abrasive. Now, Scotch pads are pretty abrasive, but not to the point where it's scratching the shit out of the handles. The blade, they'll do a pretty pretty good job at scratching the hell out of those, but the handle's not so much. If you're trying to remove scratches, though, the one thing I can suggest is maybe doing a mirror polish where you just sand the shit out of them with finer and finer and finer grit until it gives you a nice mirrored edge. I've had to do that before, but I don't plan on doing that on my Alpha Beast because I like the way that it looks, so I don't want to ruin that. But if you have scratched handles, that is an option. Me, I just like the way that it don't bother me. It just shows that I really use the Balisong every day. So now that we got that bit done and over with, I'll show you a little bit on the blade. This blade is sharper than hell. It doesn't have the factory edge on it, but it's sharper than hell. So a lot of times I'll just very, very lightly, not like the handles, just a very light, get all the spots off of there. Same deal with the back side. Be careful, man, because these blades are sharp. This isn't a factory edge, but I sharpen it all the freaking time. And we're going to go over all of this in Windex. So, because this does leave a residue. And it's nasty. Nasty ass residue. So now what we're going to do, move the mouse over to the side. Give her a couple sprays. Pick her on up and same deal as before. Just get in between all the pivot holes, I don't know what those are called, all the milling holes and whatnot. Get on in there, get all that gunk out, make it shine, make it shine. Much better, much better. That'll go into the complete section. I got hair everywhere, man. This is the problem with having long hair. Spray it right on the counter. If you spray it on the counter, it seconds as actually cleaning. So if anyone asks me what I was doing, I was just cleaning the studio. Make sure all that green shit is out of here. And this is the way that I've been cleaning my Balisongs for a long time, especially titanium ones, and I've never once ran into an issue where I've noticed anything happen from using Windex or window cleaner on titanium. A lot of times that's what the company recommends that you use, so to my knowledge, window cleaner is perfectly fine for titanium and actually does a pretty good job on cleaning it up, as you can see. I'm a little out of focus here. I should have focused that in a long time ago, but now we're too far into the process to, that might be the best that we get, huh? Oh well. It is what it is. Okay. All those spots are clean. And like I said before, I do the blade too. If I didn't leave a ton of residue, I probably wouldn't clean the blade at all. The blade I would clean in oil. So if you have oil handy, it's probably a good idea to use a little bit of oil. But me, I see that there's a little bit of residue in there from the Scotch pad, so I wanna get that out. You don't want any kind of dirt or grit inside those holes, because then it's gonna make for a hard time getting the pivots in, or I'm sorry, the bushings in, or sometimes even out if you do get them in. So you want to get those as clean as possible, as clean as you can. I'm just gonna use this as like a tool to push out all the debris. Make it all nice and clean. Get in those hard to reach areas. Not bad, not bad. So I'm going to put everything to the side, and you can wash your hardware down. It's not 100%, necessary if your hardware is not all gunked up. You should be alright, but since you have it apart, might as well, right? Might as well. This is a good time to organize them. Put everything in the spot that it belongs, so when you go to reassemble, you don't run into any issues. Of course, I pick a cloth that has a ton of hair on it, so that's cool. Pivots. Yeah, this rag has a ton of hair. That's fantastic. That is fantastic. I got my spacers, but I don't really... Those aren't too bad as far as dirt or debris, surprisingly. Let's see. They call those Kuski, K-U-S-K-I. I don't know. I could be pronouncing that wrong. Kuski spacers, or Kuski barrels. It's a dude who makes them on Instagram. Highly recommend checking him out. Oh, I was looking for... I was like, where the heck did that... it was on a magnet, so that's cool. That was cool. It was sticking to the side of my little toolbox. Alright. I think that is probably... Washers ain't too bad. You just want to make sure they're not all gunked up to shit. Good time to examine them, make sure they're not all dented up or sandy or what have you. Not too shabby looking. Alright. Now what we're going to do is figure out the orientation of all this good stuff. So, you can tell the bite handle apart from the safe handle, so this would be the side that has the blade where you could possibly get cut. Or almost always on any Balisong, they have holes down here for the latch. The only exception is if the Balisong doesn't have a latch at all, like the manufacturer doesn't make a latch, or the latch is built in for the most part. I guess there are more exceptions to that too. Some have hidden latches, I don't know, but usually there's a hole. So what we're going to do is place that down like so. And same deal with this one, place it down like so. And then that will give us an idea of what it's going to look like, and it's put together. I can get all this stuff kind of scooted over. I apologize for all the hair and dust and all that. So that's usually what I do, because it gives me a layout of how it's going to look. Pretty cool. So what we're going to do now is we're going to find our trusty pivot screw, which there's a little bit of gunk inside the pivot, but that's usually not too bad. What you could do to get the gunk out of the pivot is roll up like a paper towel and just thread it on in there. I'm not too concerned about it. It's not horrible. It's a little greasy in there. So we're going to take this pivot, we're going to put it in that handle there, like so, and we're going to take these pivots, I don't know what these are technically called, so forgive me, these tiny ones, and put them in there like that, right? And then we're going to lay it down, just like so. Just like so, just like so. And you can do the same thing with the other side if you really wanted to, just to get it all prepped up and ready to rock. And if you're wondering this layout, literally it's just because I can simply take this piece and put it on top of there. The Alpha Beast makes a downwards arrow when it's in the open position, so, you know, see that? Downwards, that's the way it should be. But now would be a good time to flip it around if you wanted to, I don't know. Figure out what you want to do. We're going to take our little barrel spacers here and go bada bing, bada boom. Same deal on this side if you really want to. If you want a head start, go for it. I ain't holding you back. Or maybe I am, I don't know. I don't know. You can stick the pivot in there, so it makes it nice and easy for us. We're going to take the washer, plunk it on in there. Same deal with this side. Washer, plunk it on in there. Then we're going to take our bushing, put it on in there. It shouldn't give you a ton of resistance. If you put it on there and it's not going on, then you still have debris in there. So it should just plop right on in there, no problem, as long as you have it straight. So, see, watch. Whoop. Shouldn't have a ton of resistance. Same deal with this side. If you put it on there, it should just go right on down. Not too much resistance, see? So, I don't know. And then, we're going to take the handy dandy blade here. And we're going to, this is the bite handle side. The one with the latch. So we're going to plop that blade right on there. And at this point, if you wanted to, you could put it on the other side as well. Because what's holding you back, right? Why not? And I have a little bit of lubricant that I use. I think this is actually made for like fishing reels. Found it on Amazon. I'm just going to put a little dabby dab in there. And a little dabby dab on there. Just like that. I'm not getting it inside the threads. I'm just getting it on the outer perimeter, so to speak. We'll probably end up using a little bit more of this later on. So we're not done yet though. We gotta take these little washers here, if you can actually grab them, and you're gonna plop them on top of the, make you a little lube sandwich. Very nice, very, very nice. This is a fun process. And now, you want to put the handles on, but you want to put them on the right spot. So, again, the sharp side has the latch. So we're going to plop it on there. Just like that. But, I got too excited. We're going to want to put the bottom screws in first. Or else you'll never, ever get them in. You'll get them in, but maybe it'll always be loose if you don't do this. So if you don't want loose tiny screws on the bottom, I recommend you do this. So obviously you don't want to cross thread anything, so you want to actually go counterclockwise until you feel it drop down. You'll know what I'm talking about when you're doing it yourself. So just go back a little bit. I'm too shaky, so dial it back. Oop, right there. And then you're going to screw her on in. You're going to, just like how we did when we unscrewed it, you're going to want to put a little bit of pressure. A little bit of pressure. And it might be crooked as hell, but trust me, it'll all straighten itself out. It'll all straighten itself out. Just like that. Perfect. Perfect, man. Sometimes I impress myself. And I guess you want to use high quality bits. I hear a lot of people talking about stripping, and I guess it's because of low quality bits. That's word on the street. So right now, I know you can't really see it, but this handle's crooked as hell. It's not even socketed right. I did that on purpose because, like I said, you won't be able to get this fully tight. This bottom half, you won't be able to tighten it all the way unless that's crooked. I don't know why. That's just the way that it works. So now, since we got it on there, you can line it up. Put that on there just like that. Ah, wrong size. Go back to your T10, I believe this is. Yep, T10. And go a little bit backwards so you don't cross thread it. You'll hear a little click and it'll sink down a little bit. And then you can screw it in. You won't be able to screw it in all the way until you squeeze the handles a little bit. Which we're not trying to even screw it in all the way right now anyways. We want to get this other side assembled. So, go ahead and switch your bits yet again. And drop these suckers in there. You can do one at a time if you want. It don't matter all that much. You'll feel it sink down just a little bit because you don't want to cross thread. I don't know if it's possible to cross thread titanium or whatever, but I wouldn't be the one to try it. There. You'll hear it and know what I'm talking about. So if I just sit here and twist it's just going to spin and spin and spin. What I have to do is take the top off a little bit, give it a little bit of a bend, and then it will tighten down. See? It's crooked as hell, but... Oh, I accidentally took off my washer. Fucker. Damn it. I gotta loosen it up a little bit. I accidentally took my washer off when I took that. Daggone it all to hell. Hey, mistakes are made, no big deal. What are you gonna do, cry about it? Yep, I'm gonna have to. It was going too smooth. We had something. So, my nice greasy, oily washer fell off. No worries, just line it back up. Don't do it again. I wasn't paying enough attention. So we're gonna screw that down again. We're gonna screw this side down. It's gonna be a little bit crooked, but it'll straighten out in the end. It'll all straighten out in the end. I got that one quick. Yeah, when I say it's crooked, I mean look at the handle. See? This one's like practically off, but you won't be able to screw these down otherwise. I'm just telling you. Just telling you. Learn from my mistakes. And then what we're gonna do is just give it a little bit of force on top of the pivot. It'll all line itself out really nicely. So I'm actually gonna put the screw back in where the latch goes, just so I don't lose it. Like that. Put the T10 back in. Put the pivot on in there. Hold it straight up and... Oh, it felt right into place that time. Let's see, that's what I'm talking about. Then we're going to squeeze the handles just a little and twist. Twist, twist, twist. With bushings, you can tighten it pretty much as you can. You don't want to like fucking crank it down, but you want to make sure that they're nice and firm. Now I can't promise that this fixed the tab, but I can promise that my knife is clean now. So that was the main reason for wanting to do this video in the first place, is just to have a nice clean knife again. Wow, I got this all fucked up. There we go. Good enough. Oh yeah. Flips like a charm. Looks like a nice brand new knife. Nah, minus all the scratches, but oh yeah. I like it, I like it. So, let's see if that did anything. Alright. Alright, alright. Oh yeah, that is a lot better. If I really tried, I could probably make it happen, but that's about the same force that I was giving it before. Yeah, not bad. Not bad at all. Let's do a pose for the thumbnail purposes. Have the rag in there too, maybe, and the coffee. Get her all focused in. And it's a beautiful knife, man. I love this. I know a lot of people are going to be like, well, man, you shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be doing this, but I love it, man. I use this blade every single day. Every single day. I love flipping this thing. That turned out a lot better than I thought. It's still early in the morning, so I don't know if I'm in the flipping mood, but do a little test trial here. Not too shabby. Feels really nice. When they're clean, only people that flip knives will know what I'm talking about, but when it's clean, it just feels very, very nice. I'm gonna do it bite handle side. Not too shabby at all. I could probably put a little bit more lube in there, just to loosen it up a little bit, but still hardly any play at all. Fantastic. I'm glad I was able to do that and that it actually worked. So, I'll put all this stuff away, and I really appreciate you guys. If you learned something, make sure you hit that like button. Just something new, you know, something new to talk about. Freshen it up a little bit. As always, I really do appreciate you guys. Make sure you tune into the next episode. I don't know if it's going to be about knives, video games, I don't know. Maybe a combination of all the above. Maybe I'll show you how to loosen up the squiddy. This thing's tighter than shit. Alright. Appreciate you guys, and as always, I hope to see you next time. Adios.